So grab your seat, no need to go far. It's the real story from Alex Zahara.
I want to get back to the multiple characters, multiple thing. On the opposite side of remembering a character years later, whenever you're going into a show, like say Stargate, you played 8 different characters and then 8 different characters in one episode. How do you, like, if you would come back, you've done 5 characters on Stargate, hey, we need you to come back and play a new alien. How do you come back? You're the same setting, some of the same people. How do you invent it or work on a new character? Because a lot of times there's not a lot of background and they're going to build an entire alien race off of how you handle it sometimes. How do you approach a new character in an old setting?
Well, here's the thing. Like, you got like a great example is my buddy Dion Johnson. He and I did Stargate together for years, and we played 2. Look at me, like little action figures. No, we played 2 Unas characters. Like, they were these lizard men type people. And
I know the
and there you go. Well, he played Warwick in Space Race. This an alien in Space Race, not an Unas, but an alien Space Race. And he couldn't come. They wanted to do a part 2. Actually, not Space Race. He played it in his episode was called something else where he got trapped on a alien planet. He was delivering criminals and the ship crashed. Anyway, they wanted to do a part 2 where he gets rescued. He couldn't actually do it. So they said to me, can you come in and watch the episode, see if you can do what Dion did with the character, and then let's see if it can work. Because if it works, we're going to do an episode with you, but playing Dion's character. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, as long as that's cool with Dion, I guess, and whatever. And so I went in and watched it, and I did my take on it. But it was also new and different because the guy I played it like he'd been lost for 7 years. And, he finally got home and he'd lost his wife and his kids. They'd remarried and, all this stuff. So it was a completely different character. But, in terms of coming back to Stargate, like they're incredible. We're like just a huge family. They actually wrote stuff with Dion and I in mind, and we didn't have to audition. I auditioned.
Oh, that's awesome.
The first 2 episodes I did. With the fish scale face alien, Spirits. I did Spirits, and then I did 1969 playing the hippie. Those are the only 2 I auditioned for, and the rest. Oh, and that's not true. I came in for Warwick, but they could see me. But they wrote stuff with us in mind. So we, and Dion and I would get together and discuss the characters with the writers and stuff. And like in Foothold, they were supposed to be underwater, like lobster men sort of thing. So they would move very differently in the air, and then they would obviously be very much stronger because underwater there's all the resistance, right? So we talked about all that stuff, and so when it came time to come back and do other characters, it was actually quite easy because the entire crew and cast and everybody's so supportive, and you just go in and let's explore. Well, who are these guys? What are they doing, and why are they here? And so it was actually really, it was like going to theater school again, frankly.
That's real. I wasn't expecting that level of an answer that much. I just thought in the typical TV production, hey, we got a guy, we need an actor, throw him in. And but they're working with you, and that's something I didn't expect to hear. They're like, we like this actor, we want to continue throwing roles at him and challenging him and putting him to work. I loved it.
They were awesome. They were awesome that way. Like seriously, in that one episode, Beast of Burden, I played 8 characters in that show alone. I played like my main guy, Shy One, which I kind of patterned after Lou Gossett Jr.'s character Fiddler from Roots, like an indentured slave, because that's what we were like. I played a whole bunch of, Unas in the slave market, Unas carrying water, Unas doing this, and the various slave Unases. Then I played a bloodhound Unas hunting my main character down. And then I played a female waitress Unas who serves Michael Shanks, who he and I went to university. But he plays, the character's name jumps out of my head. James Spader's character, Daniel Jackson. He plays him. And so I serve him this drink, and he said, thank you. And like, you're in character. And like, I just looked at him. I gave a little sniff because this guy thanked me. Nobody thanks us. They beat us. They slap us, whatever. Nobody thanks us. So I did a little sniff. And because there's no actual holes, the whole face went like it flexed like I was actually sniffing. And Martin Wood, the director, goes, oh, beauty, beauty. Do that again. Oh, yeah, beauty, beauty. So, okay, great. And anyway, I kept it in, and it was just hilarious. And I had little lizard bosoms. There you go. The body, they gave us different body because we had like a body suit, right? And arms and whatever else. So they gave me little bosoms and a little dress. And anyway, it was just really cool. And again, in Enemy Mine, I say I've played thousands of Unases because they CGI'd me and 3 other guys. Yeah, like 1,000 times to make like 30,000 of us or whatever. And then in another show, I played a Super Jaffa warrior, and they made an army of me and my buddy Dan Payne. So I say I played 20,000 characters. There you go.
So if we watched certain episodes of Stargate and we did the drinking game to Alex, we would be dead.
You'd have alcohol poisoning. You're gone.
Yeah. Speaking of dead, how many times have you died on screen? That's a question you always get, and I'm going to go there because the number increased with Final Destination. That's not a spoiler.
No. Well, it's in the trailer, so we can talk about it. We know my character dies.
Yeah.
But this was death number 40. So I would say I make my living dying on TV. Thank you.
Yeah. It's an incredible career you have built on just going face down at some point.
Pretty much. What do you get somebody as a gift for their 40th death? Is it like wood? Is that like an anniversary? Like, do you get a wooden gift? Sorry.
There you go. Well, I got a gift sort of in a roundabout way. Like good old Uncle Howie, he's wearing his loud Hawaiian shirt when he dies. And I kid you not, the next day I had an audition, and it said specifically, Phil is in a loud Hawaiian shirt. And I didn't have it when I said to the costume, do you mind if I borrow this? I did multiples because, and the costume lady was very nice. She said, you can just keep it. It's okay. I was like, well, thank you, Warner Brothers. And, New Line. And I kept it and I auditioned. I didn't get the part, but it's all good. But I wore the same shirt to the sneak preview here and the premiere down in LA, and people loved it. So I wore the shirt I died in.
Speaking of stuff from the sets, you've been on a lot of sets. Do you have any other props or memorabilia that you've got legally and with permission of producers and everybody involved? Say a Zat or from absolutely, or from Babylon 5, the staff.
Give me 10 seconds. Hang on.
Absolutely.
10 seconds. Hang on.
All right, Zaz, you're gonna vamp right now. Tell us a joke.
Okay. All right. You ready for this one? It's good. Yeah. This is a thinker. All right.
All right. Do it. Surprise us.
Ready?
Hey, this is a great time to remind you. If you have a question, put it in chat. We were getting deep.
You son of a gun.
I thought I was saving you. If you have questions, put them in chat. We will get them.
I was so
my goodness.
What?
This is a real metal Viking helmet from the 13th Warrior.
Shut up.
You go to parties with that? That's great.
No, it's sat on my shelf for about 20, 30 years. There you go. But I literally, when I went for the costume fitting, I was the first guy to get fitted, and the armorer was there going, hey, listen, can I try this on you to see if it's working and whatever? You look like you got a sort of average size head or whatever. And I said, oh, good, I'm average. Great. So anyway, I come over, and it's still got the original little foamy rubber and foam inside.
Amazing.
And yeah. And so at the end of the production, I got to keep it.
That's beautiful.
Josh and I did a zombie movie together 30 years ago, and all we got was ringworm. Like, that is amazing.
No, but that's the best prop. It's the best prop I've ever got.
I am a headgear. I'm a Babylon 5 fan. I'm unashamedly a Babylon 5 fan. I love the show. You were in was going to be a spinoff. It was a movie that working on a series, perhaps. You played a Membari, and I was curious. I'm always curious. The headgear, the headpiece for the costume. Is that a soft foam rubber or is that hard? Is it a difficult piece to wear?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny. A couple of things real quick. So it was a movie / backdoor pilot, and Sci-Fi Network made the mistake of broadcasting it the same weekend as the New England Patriots playoff football game for the Super Bowl. Dumb move, because the numbers were so low in the Eastern Coast. We need like 1.6 or however many million viewers per city to go to series. Long story short, we outplayed Dune as the highest ranked sci-fi or TV movie or series ever. We had 3.7 million viewers per city in LA, San Diego, etc. But New York, because of the football game, they were like 700,000. So when you add that up, it was too little. But as soon as the game ended, we shot up to like 3 million viewers again. If they'd have picked any other weekend, we would be having a much different conversation right now, because that would have been in the series for 5 years.
And JMS has some rabid fans. They would be there for it. Like at that time, especially. That's
well, here's the thing. Like, you talk about back to the headgear to answer your question. It's like firmer. It's still foamy stuff, but it's much firmer, right? So you start by putting a bald cap on you, and doing the ears and stuff, and the little fake ears down here. But so you're all sort of covered up. and then they apply the harder foam on the backyard. I tell you, it was the easiest of the heavy prosthetics I've done because and it's the only one you've ever seen my face in, because most of it I'm totally covered, look like a lizard or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
That's tougher in the sense of, because you can't breathe through. There's no holes. You're breathing through your mouth all day, so you're constantly drinking water. And then, oh geez, you have to go to the bathroom. Well, good luck with your triple claw hands. You know, there's a whole other thing going on there.
One of my favorite actors across genre, from Star Trek to Babylon 5, is Andreas Katsalas. You got to work with him.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, he was amazing. Like,
I have to mention him.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, I sat next to Andreas Katsalas in the makeup chair while we were getting done up for the show. He played Jakar, and like, he was so calm and relaxed and mellow, very much like Omar. Omar, like, these guys are pros, and they got nothing to prove.
Just rolling in, doing their job, going home.
Oh, just it was like a second skin, I think, putting that suit back on for him. You know what I mean? Like, just boom. And and even really jumping back to Omar, very similar, like him and Andreas, like during setups or breaks in the shooting, Omar would be sitting there, like, rehearsing. He had these little instruments, he had these little utensils, Arabic utensils, and we're having dinner, and we're all savages and eating and wiping fingers on dogs. And meanwhile, he's got a little knife and a 3-tine fork, and he's like, doing his little prayer before he eats and stuff like this. Andreas and him are very similar, very chillax energy, very relaxed, and super professional, super nice. Yeah,
that is
very sad.
If I get the chance, I don't know if he told you this in your time working together. There's a story involving him and Richard Kind sharing an apartment and a cat litter box. Anybody out there who has heard it knows the story, but basically, Richard Kind thought that his cat had taken a very massive dump, and it wasn't his cat.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
there's actually a Star Trek person involved in the story, I believe. I think it was the Star Trek convention.
Wow.
Somebody told the story. Anyway, we have an audience question available. I will try to find it and send it to you. Tina Reynolds asks, what's the most difficult makeup on Stargate? I'm assuming you had to wear.
Yeah. The most difficult one in Stargate was originally the first time we did the UNAS, because it took about 4.5 hours the first time we did it. Because in answer to your other, part of the other question you asked about the Minbari thing, on Stargate, they have a cowl, right? So it's a very firm rubber headpiece, and it comes down to about here, right? And it's fairly firm. And, so you can't really turn your neck a lot. There's not a lot of motion, but you can a bit, right? And then they physically, like literally surgically glue from the nose outward the very thinner makeup to go on your face. They blend it in here, then they paint, do whatever. But like literally, we go to work at 3:30 in the morning, and you have to sit till they're done. And let's face it, if you're working at 3:30 in the morning and I'm just sitting there, what do you think happens? Like, I fell asleep. So, and so much as it being tough, it's tough to sit that long. You have to get up and take breaks. It's like being on an airplane. You got to, watch for the blood clots or whatever. You're not going to move around a bit. But that was the hardest part, is just you have to learn just to chill and just know that it's going to be what it's going to be. So that was the tough part. But also then one time I fell asleep at lunch, and I was sleeping like this, with my head back, because you can't breathe through the nose. So I have to breathe through my mouth. And then I rolled over and closed my mouth. So then I have this panic dream that I'm suffocating, because I was. And suddenly I just sat up and then I was on some grass by some of the buildings, and nobody was around me. And I was like, okay, just chillax. You didn't die. It's all good.
Nobody's hurt. Yeah. We're all good.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Continue your story, please.
Okay, real quick. But the hardest makeup I've ever had to do was Aliens ate my homework, or an alien stole my body, where I played this character who was like a snail, basically. And so I had the whole cowl on and no eyes. So literally, if you put your hands like this, that's what I could see. That was it. And then I had these two like things that would come up, animatronic eyes for up here, like, eye stalks with eyes on the end. But imagine going in the cowl, putting the makeup on, and I could see just through the slits of the fingers, sort of like, that's all I could see all day long. And so when I take it off at the end of the day, like, it's incredible, but I couldn't focus. I couldn't drive home because I couldn't focus. My eyes had been focusing 2 inches in front of me all day long. I couldn't see anything everything was just a blur.
They don't
That
warn
was
you
pretty
about
tough.
that. You think that would be common, like, hey, every time I do makeup in front of someone's eyes, they're not driving home.
Yeah, well, I don't know that they really knew about this. And like even my buddy Dan
Yeah.
Payne, like he had his eyes, but they put these full iris or full contact lenses on, like they would cover the whole eyeball, and he
Yeah.
was screwed up too. He couldn't see at all, like either. So luckily they, provided us rides home and stuff like that. But yes, that's the more difficult part. Or like when you have to eat, and some suits, like you can't go to the bathroom other than doing number one. So all you could do all day was drink protein drinks or whatever, but liquids. That was it. So that got a little tough sometimes because you can smell lunch and it smells so good and you can't have it. Oh, look, we brought steak and lobster today. Here's your smoothie.
And suck it down, and not too much because you might have to pee.
Exactly.
Right on. Oh, hey, so all of this work with Stargate, and then just all the franchises you've worked through and on, and from multiple appearances, you've been to a lot of conventions. People know you, they recognize you, they want to talk to you. I'm always curious about like what are some of the most touching fan interactions you've ever had at a convention or just anywhere where a fan has walked up to you and said, "You need to hear this."
I'll tell you the one that affected me the most, and it's absolutely the truth. And I just saw James doing, Scotty from Star Trek, and he had an interview like
I got to
this
see him at a
question
convention
too.
when I was much younger. It was awesome.
Did you? Oh, so lucky.
Good guy.
Anyways, yeah, he said that there was a young lady who told him like she wouldn't be here except for Star Trek, and that happened to me. This woman came up to me and said I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Stargate because I was thinking of saying goodbye to the world, and then I crossed paths with Stargate, and it inspired me. And I said, well, I'm very glad that you're here, and thank you for sharing that. Can I ask, what was it about Stargate that brought you back to us, so you were still here? We can enjoy each other's company. And she
Right.
said it was about the humanity of the stories and everybody working together, and it was not a negative like fighting all the time or whatever. And I just said, that's so true. It's about people working together, being the best they can be for humanity. And that really hit home with me because we think a lot of times, like even today, like you question, what am I doing? Like, I'm not solving rocket science. I'm not not solving curing cancer and not putting people in space. What am I
Saving
doing?
lives.
Like, well, and then in the end, you actually are, and that really shocked me. I was like, wow, okay, never mind all the people I saved as a lifeguard or whatever. I'm actually helping people out there that I didn't realize. I just thought it was because for me, God bless, I've never felt that low in terms of like wanting to say goodbye to really giving it consideration. And yet this young woman had. So there's that. And then switch to a less heavy sort of thing. I've met some amazing friends there. Lynn Dimio and her husband Angelo. We were friends for years. Angela unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and her son Steve. We're still friends. We go to dinner, we hang out. We used to babysit each other's dogs, but now all those dogs have passed away. God bless them. So we do that. But and then I actually met a girlfriend of mine at a convention one time, and it was very like not intended or whatever. She was doing a favor for a friend, the Dutchies, these girls, and then I just really thought this person was nice, and I said, like, you're a really good friend to do this, whatever. We ended up conversing or whatever, and then went out for a coffee date, whatever. So that's just it. Like, we're just fans are people too, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm a fan. Are you kidding? Yeah.
I can sense that you love a lot of the stuff you've worked on. Like, I don't know if you loved it before, but like you're proud of the whole thing, like especially Stargate. You're a fan. I know I could talk about episodes you weren't in and you'd understand. Have a great one. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Be safe out there. Treat each other well.